Time to get started with your dynamic warm-up. You've got 5 movements, 1 minute of each, 1 full round. Dee, you ready to get started?
I am, let's do it.
All right, we're gonna start things off with 1 minute of a standing alternating Spider-Man. Feet hip-width apart, arms extended overhead, squeezing the oblique, making contact between the elbow and knee. An option here, you can reduce your range of motion. Next up, we've got 1 minute of a sumo squat to stand. Our feet are nice and wide beyond hip width apart, chest nice and tall, bringing our hands down to the ground. From here, pressing through the hands to raise the hips up in the air, straightening out your legs, working those hamstrings back to your starting position. Option here, use whatever squat depth you feel most comfortable with. Hands don't necessarily have to come down to the ground. Next up, 1 minute of a crouching downward facing dog. Starting in a high plank position, pressing through the hands, raising the hips into the air, keeping the legs straight. From here, dropping your knees down, hovering, raising it back up. An option here, reduce the depth as you drop those knees down to the ground. Next up, 1 minute of an alternating wide mountain climber with a rotation. As you can see, Dee is rotating to the inside towards that front knee, coming back to her high plank and alternating sides. An option here, you can drop that back knee if you need to. Last but not least, we're gonna come down to the ground. We got 1 minute of what we're calling a scorpion. Arms extended, those toes are anchored to start things off. We're gonna raise one heel up, rotating, trying to make contact with the opposite hand, really working that T-spine, then switching sides. An option here, reduce the range of motion, trying to reach the hand, find what's available to you. You've got 1 minute of each movement. Let's get warmed up.
Make up your mind what you're searching for. Sticky claim, is it fame? Do you see your name in lights? Make up your mind what you're searching for. Is it money? Is it something like freedom? Nothing against myself, but I can really see myself. Come around, come around, come around. Now I'm holding it down. I thought I was quiet, then you brought that loud. It's instant that I mentioned. Did you know that? In a minute, I felt different. No take backs, take back. Everyone's got a little bit of magic. Everyone's got a little trick up their sleeve. Yeah, everyone's got some kind of abracadabra. So cast your spell and make them believe. Ooh, you got some kind of magic, yeah. You got now, never instant, not to mention, cause you know that. But each minute feels different, no take back. Everyone's got a little bit of magic. Everyone's got a little trick up their sleeve. Everyone's got some kind of abracadabra. So cast your spell and make them believe.
Can it be done? Hey. Can it be done? I will not forget our conversation when you looked There's no conversation, and I'm noticing I'm staggering across to you. It's my resignation. I'm letting go and letting you go into where you belong. The hole is gone. Felt as though I was far away. You got me with your voice to where I belong. My heart was stone. You're the shape I didn't know I needed.
Carl, how do you feel about working your abs?
Let's do it.
Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds great.
Orange Nation, 6-minute core block. It's 3 exercises, 30 seconds apiece for 3 rounds. Let's get into this thing. It's our side plank hip dip. So you definitely want to make sure that your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder, taking your hips towards the floor just a couple inches. Pause at the top and bring it right back down. Option, you can just simply fold one leg underneath you. It's the same exact exercise. On the other side, left side, strong side, still 30 seconds. Final movement is our hollow hold. So our arms are extended, biceps by the ears, shoulder blades are off the ground, pressing your lower back into the floor, and we're just holding 30 seconds. Option, go ahead and lift your legs up, and that'll take some tension off. After this movement, it's a much-earned 30 seconds recovery. Don't forget, 3 rounds. Let's show some love right here to the core.
This block, we work the shoulders. You ready to do this, Cynthia?
Born ready.
All right, we have 4 exercises, 8 repetitions apiece, minimum of 2 rounds, and we have 8 minutes to work. You're gonna need a set of medium weights and also a set of light medium weights or objects. Our first exercise is the Arnold press. So grab your weights, internally rotate the wrists so they're facing you. As you press the dumbbells or the weights up, you rotate out, wrists facing away, right back down underneath the chin to your set position. Our second exercise, the upright row. Grab onto your weights, they'll be hanging right in front of the waist, pull up, elbows come up slightly higher than the shoulders, wrists right underneath the chin, nice and controlled. Now we want to grab onto the lighter objects. The next exercise is front raise to lateral raise. So wrists are facing in towards you. Lift the dumbbells or objects up to the front, rotate out to the side. Drop it down to your hips, bring it back up, and then right back to the front. Next exercise, keep those lighter weights, scaption. Wrists are gonna face in. Lift the weights up on a slight angle, pop the chest up, pull the shoulder blades down your back, bring it right back down, reset, and repeat. The option for all 4 exercises will either be lighter weight or reduce your range of motion. Let's get it, guys.
this interval style block is going to take you back to the treadmills just like we do in the Orangetheory workout. You're going to complete these intervals for 4 rounds. So your first exercise is just a march in place for 30 seconds. The goal is just to get the heart rate moving, get the body warmed up and ready for exercise. From march in place, we're going to move into a 60-second base effort. Again, getting that heart rate up just slightly, and we're going to do it with jump roping, or if you don't have a jump rope, you can mimic jump rope with this movement, making sure our hands are moving as well. From there, we're going to get uncomfortable into that push effort for 30 seconds. We're going to do it with speed skaters, so that big lateral movement, crossing the body and elevating the heart rate. Option is to take a big step and drive the knee into the opposite elbow, keeping your core nice and tight. From there, it's time to go all out, very uncomfortable for 30 seconds. We're going to do it with incline mountain climbers. So your shoulders are over your wrists, and you're going to drive the knee into that elevated surface. We're using a chair here. Think fast, heart rates are up. After 30 seconds, we're going to take it to a 30-second walking recovery. Remember, the goal of this block is to keep moving. So even on that recovery, just take a stroll around your living room. 4 rounds for 13 minutes. Let's get to work.
let's focus on your shoulders and your core for the next 8 minutes. We're gonna have 4 different exercises that we're gonna continue to repeat until time is called. Let's shoot for a minimum of 2 rounds. Now for this block, we are going to be kneeling, so make sure that you have a padded surface under your knees. Could be that towel or yoga mat like we've got, and you will need 2 objects that weigh roughly the same amount. We decided to grab our cans of beans out of the cupboard this morning, but if you've got something that weighs roughly 8 to 12 pounds, that would be great for this block. Let's get started with our first exercise. It's what's called a half get-up. Now, there are 4 different parts to this movement that you want to think about as you're working through it. Start by laying flat on the ground. You're going to slide your heel into your glute. Whatever hand has one object, that's the knee that's bent. Your opposite leg is out straight. Now, think about a punch and crunch to get started. Stack that can of beans directly over your shoulder. Your opposite arm is out at a 45-degree angle, and as you watch John, he's going to punch towards the ceiling, landing on that elbow first, and then continuing all the way up to the palm of his hand, still that straight line down to that shoulder. Roll your way down nice and slow. So find your elbow first, and then roll 1 vertebrae at a time. Punch and crunch up to that palm, and then elbow, and roll back down. Your option, get rid of that can of beans and simply work through body weight only. You've got 12 on one side, 12 on the other. Your second exercise is called a half kneeling around the world. Grab both of those objects, 1 in each hand, then we're gonna get into that half kneeling position. Front knee directly over top of that ankle, feet are still hip width apart, and then from here, you're gonna draw a half circle with both of those arms, meeting those objects together at the top, and then returning back down to those hips. So full range of motion with those shoulders. Your option here, you reduce your range of motion if you need to, and you can always lighten up the objects that are in your hands. Feel free to do it body weight as well. 6 on one side, then switch those legs, 6 on the other. Your next exercise, back to that core work, we've got our bear plank to a kick through. So hover above the ground just about 1 to 2 inches, curling your toes under, again, space underneath your knees, hips over knees, and now John, let's kick 1 leg through to the opposite side, so we're crossing under that body, return back, reset, before you kick that opposite leg through. Your option here, you keep both hands planted on the ground and simply bring knee to the back of that wrist. We have 1 more exercise. Got to get back into that half kneeling position. This time we only need 1 can of beans. Single arm shoulder press to stand. So full body movement here. From here, press up, hold it there, keeping that arm nice and straight. Now drive through that front heel, stand up, and then from here, you're still keeping that straight line, come back to that knee, then return back to your shoulder. So press, stand, keep it there, come back down to the ground, and then return back to your shoulder. Your option, you can grab a lighter object, or you can simply work through your shoulder presses. You've got 12 on one side, 12 on the other. 8 minutes of work. Let's get to it.
You worked hard today, so you deserve this flexibility block. You'll have 7 total stretches that you're gonna hold for 20 seconds each. The first one, we have that overhead reach, moving from our side, 20-second hold per side, working the lats and obliques. Next up, we have a cross arm stretch. That's gonna work the shoulders a little bit more, 20 seconds per side. Next up, standing chest stretch, bringing the arms to a 90-degree angle, drawing the elbows towards the back of the room to open up the chest. Next up, we have an internal rotator stretch, bringing the hands behind the back, chest nice and tall. Then, taking one hand, grabbing that ankle for a standing quad stretch. Fun little tip here, if you touch the nose or the ear, it's gonna help with balance. But of course, if there's a chair nearby, go ahead and use it. Next, we have our kneeling forearm stretch. Fingertips facing the knees, pushing back on the hands, sitting back on the heels. You have 20 seconds there. Last but not least, we have our child's pose. So we're gonna go ahead, bring the toes together, knees a little bit wider as we press back, enjoy sitting back in the stretch. Good job today.
In the dark, in a room, I'm waiting on my own, and the dream seems so far away. Could it be you're waiting there for me? I just need to open up. Oh, then your light shines in, flying, flying. Never saw you coming. Now you're under my skin, flying, flying. And you set me free. Then your light shines in, flying, flying. Never saw you coming. Now you're under my skin, flying, flying. And you set me free. Here we are, I can feel your heartbeat next to me. Tonight we will fly away. Looking out as far